Hey everybody, give me just a second here. I am just pulling up the stream and we'll hop in just a second. I know a lot of folks watch these after I've streamed them, so if you are just watching this as a new video, this was a stream I did in the past. And I'm just getting everything set up so that folks can watch it. Give me a second here. Boom, boom, boom. And if you are somebody watching and you are in the chat, drop a comment. And let me know that the audio is working and stuff, because a lot of the time I just can't tell. Looks like it is. Okay, cool. I will keep an eye on the chat. If anyone has questions, drop them in there. If we have anybody here, awesome. If not, that's okay. Maybe I'll grab the cats. The cats always get people into the videos. That seems to be a popular one. So maybe we'll grab the cats. I've got Gummy. Gummy's my hairless cat over here. He's adorbs. But he's very grumpy today. He's been very loud every time I pick him up. Just curious if anybody will drop on to this one. I've done streams in the past. It's kind of hit or miss if anybody shows up or not. We usually get a kind of small core group, which is awesome. But right now it seems like I don't think we have anybody watching. So if you're out there, hop on. If not, no big deal. I don't think this is going to be a very long stream anyways. Maybe I'll do 30 minutes. All right, enough rambling. Let's hop into talking about some Excel stuff. So I just did a video recently talking about this nav that you see in a lot of my projects in Excel. A lot of the videos I make have this. All I've done here is essentially put in a few little lines of text. Each of those pieces of text is hyperlinked. If you right click, you can go hyperlink and link to any sheet. And then each page, as you go over, I've just moved the shape down, and then I've turned the icon and the font to white. And that makes it look like the button is being selected, but really you're just moving to each page and the shape's being moved down. So it's a fun little trick. People seem to like it. Hey, it looks like we have some people watching too. If you're in here, hey Chris, and you can hear and audio is working and everything, let me know. It sounds like it is. Thanks for tuning in, Christopher. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat, no big deal. I'm just kind of hanging out, cruising through some stuff here that I've been talking about lately. I've been trying to figure out kind of new topics to cover. I feel like I've been kind of recycling some of the dashboard topics lately because it's like, you know, I post a video one time and nobody sees it, and then I do a video on the same topic again and it gets seen by way more people sometimes. And unfortunately, it's like, I feel like I kind of have to recycle because of that. But if there's other topics people care a lot about, particularly stuff that is around visuals and visualization and reporting design, that sort of thing, I'd love to see suggestions or things that people are interested in. All right, and nothing in the chat. Okay. Yeah, and hey, to everybody new who's dropped in, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Christopher says, my dream job is to be a contractor who makes dashboards for companies, and I love Excel, so your channel is fascinating to me. Audio is good. Cool, thanks Christopher. Yeah, I just did a video about careers in this space and like what it takes, because, you know, as everyone knows right now, there's more people going into the kind of data analysis, data visualization careers than ever before. It's super competitive, and you kind of have to differentiate yourself somehow. For me, that was with visuals and kind of information design and stuff, and with my kind of like my job experience, because I used to build more custom coded non-Excel stuff for big brands like Google and Lego and Gatorade and stuff. And that perspective really kind of gave me an edge. So if you're somebody coming into this space, you kind of have to figure out what is your unique perspective and really kind of focus on it and develop it. Like, whatever it might be. Maybe you're really into marketing data and you have really great ability to analyze, interpret, and give insights on marketing data. One of the ones I often suggest to people is start learning about like forecasting. That's super popular right now. It's something everybody wants. So if you can say, hey, if you want to give me your marketing data and you want me to do a forecast for the next period afterwards, like that's going to be super valuable. And if you focus on that and get really good at that, you can make a whole career on it. So just choose your area in data visualization or in dashboards or in reporting or whatever it is, and hammer away at that specific thing. Learn skills related to that specific thing. Don't try to learn it all. Because even I'm a quote unquote Excel influencer, I guess, now, which is weird. Over on TikTok, at least I am. And the bottom line is that, like, I can do all this, right, pretty well, but when I write a VLOOKUP, I have to write it a couple times, you know? I struggle to write nested if statements and stuff. So, like, nobody knows everything in this space. It's all about your specific area. And hey, if anybody else who's hopped on has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Happy to answer questions, and I will. I'll grab my cat in a sec. I know everybody loves to see the cat. Okay. Let's see here. Well, let's show some stuff. So, right. I've just been working on this example lately. This is what we built on the stream last time. And I think we did some kind of cool stuff with this in the last stream. Oh, hey, Rory. Hey, Rory is like a OG follower. He's been super supportive forever. Really awesome. Rory, thanks for tuning in. So he says, do you have any news on what's around the corner / new coming from Excel? I think some of the most exciting stuff is around the kind of AI assistant type things that have been being released lately. I haven't even tested it out yet, but there's a lot of stuff being built right now within Microsoft to be able to say, like, hey, I'm going to type in what I want and it's going to spit out a report for me. Or I want to type in something like, I want my Excel file to link into this other file. And instead of having to do all that, you just say in words, I want you to do this, and it does it for you. That's what I'm most excited about, but they don't really tell me anything. I don't get any insider tips. I know some of the people who do get insider tips, but I can't really squeeze any information out of them. Alex is public health budgeting analyst here. Lots of monitoring spending throughout a year against a target and tracking staffing level against set limits. Your perspective on thinking beyond the grid and utilizing the design tools combined with pivot charts has blown my mind. Alex, I love that. Super happy to hear it. And I hope you're able to use this stuff and get it out there and it gets you noticed at work and stuff, because that's really my ultimate goal in all of this. I want to get everybody a raise. That's my goal. So I'm super happy to hear that. And yeah, public health stuff also is fascinating. It's cool data, big data sets with interesting, like, impactful insights that you can create from them. So you're in a really cool space right now. I was listening to an interview with the guy who created, like, the first thing tracking all of the pandemic stuff that went on. And it was fascinating to see how just creating the dashboard he created turned into this massive thing that got billions of people visiting it and stuff. And so there's a lot in public health that you can do that I think is really valuable. Yeah, and again, if anyone has questions, it can be career questions, it can be Excel questions, it can be data analysis questions, or reporting questions. I'm kind of like a information design guy with a product design background. So when we're talking about, like, strategically, like, what do we put on a page? What do we show people? What gets used? What doesn't get used? How do projects work when you're building dashboards? That's the kind of stuff I think I can really give some useful insights on. For folks that were on one of the older streams, this is the it's like this tiny little data set here. This is from another project that's inspired by another really cool project. And we just took this tiny little table and we built all these visualizations out of it, just with that tiny little data set. And the idea here was that, like, you don't need a lot of data to start learning how to do data visualization. First of all, like, if you're having trouble finding sample data, don't worry. That was the first thing it was intended to teach people, but it was also intended to say, like, sometimes when we look at a table like this, we think, what could I do with this? There's no insights there. The data set's too small. What's the point? And the idea is that each visualization helps you communicate an insight more effectively and more clearly. And these are all just standard Excel things, right? You know, a double bar chart shows you proportionality better. A slope chart shows you ranking better, that kind of stuff. This was one of my favorite projects we've done recently, and this, I think, mostly was all built on streams here, funny enough. So thank you, everyone, for the inspiration to do that. I appreciate it. And for anybody new, if you have questions, drop them in. I will be streaming here just for a little bit. I'm not on for a long time, but I just wanted to say hi. I've been on vacation a few days, and I'm trying to get a little more active and get my brain back into data mode. So feel free to drop in with questions. Let me know where y'all are coming from, what you're dealing with your own data visualization, all that kind of stuff. And I can just keep on talking forever about this, so no big deal there. I've been doing some more kind of ASMR, like Bob Rossi type videos where I talk real quietly into the mic and, with my cat who's normally on the screen with me here. I don't think I'm going to do that on the live streams. I think these are better for more Q&A style stuff. But I can always explain some of the stuff that I've done in a lot of these if you guys want me to. One of the things I've also been talking about lately a lot is this idea of like delta, or just like changes from one period to a next, and including those in some way in your dashboards. So like you'll often see like I'll have my big metric, and then beneath it I'll have the change from the previous period, previous month, previous quarter, year, whatever. And there's lots of reasons to include this, but primarily I do it because it's like the first question somebody asks when you build a report for somebody and you show them a metric like sales. The first thing they ask is, how much has this changed since the month before, right? It's like the first thing everybody comes up with. And that is a really good guide when you're trying to think about what to put into a report. If you know somebody's going to ask it, and that's the first question they'll ask, then put the metric in there. So I almost always have a version of this. Sometimes it's a percentage change, sometimes it's a whole number. Just depends on the situation. And then there's also value then in pairing that with some kind of trend line or something that is showing overall trending direction. How much higher or lower are we than usual? Is this the highest month ever, the lowest month ever, kind of average, whatever. You might want to label these. It depends on the situation. Typically more labels are better, but in a lot of these these are not labeled just to keep it clean and because we're just trying to show general direction. But in most cases we want to say what's the date granularity here and give a sense of what these values are. Yeah, so that's just something that's been coming up a lot, is this idea of anticipating the question. When we build reports, when we present data, we're communicating with an audience, right? And a big part of communicating with your audience is kind of anticipating what it is that they want to know, what it is that they're going to ask, what it is that like is going to be confusing for them and stuff. And a lot of what I do is just kind of leveraging my understanding of what people will ask for before they ask for it, and making sure that my reports address that kind of stuff. And again, if anybody has questions, you can put them in the chat. Don't think I see any new ones here. Unfortunately, I have a little bit of a hard time checking the chat while I'm streaming here, but from what I can see, I think there's nothing new in there. And if you have anything you want to see too, just let me know. Andrea Lachelle says, built a report with design tools for a client. They loved it and asked for more. It was a great way to have them engaged through the presentation. Yeah, I think there's so much value in just having some basic visual design skills, a little bit of kind of visual design tools available to you, or at least in your tool set. And it's such a good way to stand out, right? Like people really underestimate how bad, I hate to say this, how bad a lot of reports look in some of the biggest companies out there. And because of that, a really good report that's really badly designed often won't get used as much as it should, simply because it's badly designed, because people aren't really rational. We make a lot of judgments based off of how something's designed, and those judgments affect how much credibility we give to something we're looking at. So visual design, not just for making things look cool and making it stand out, but for building credibility and communicating more effectively, is kind of what I like to preach about here. Alex said, already implemented the sample card layout for spending tracking versus target and comparison to prior year. Thank you. Not sure if this is appropriate to ask here, but since my data is transactional. Oh, and I think your question got cut off, but I'll keep an eye out for the rest of it. So yeah, I think that's a big thing. Visual design is an underappreciated skill in the world of data. And it also is like a broader conceptual thing that when we learn about data, or at least up until recently when people were educated about data in school, getting a degree in data science or whatever, they were taught it in a very binary, very rigid way that was like, this is the right this is the right visualization to use. Here's exactly when to use it and exactly how to use it. And you only do it this way. And this is the right way and everything else is the wrong way. That's kind of how a lot of data scientists were taught. And in practice, data is not that simple. It is not binary. The way you present it has to be very nuanced. You have to consider the context. You have to consider your audience. You have to consider, if people are going to be interpreting it in a rational way or if there's going to be other non-rational factors, what their biases are, all those kinds of things. And that's a design problem, right? Or design process, maybe is a better way to describe it. And when you are aware of that and you kind of go into it with that mentality, you build reports that get used more, right? That actually have value to people and get into the hands of people who are going to look at them and use them and appreciate them. So, I'm always going on and on about it, but just something I like to bring up. Okay, I don't see any other questions here. And Alex, again, I think your question got cut off at the end. Or maybe I just missed it. Anyway, it looks like it got cut off. I think you were going to say something else there. Usagi, hey, good to see you again, Usagi-senpai. Created a cool dashboard thanks to you, and everyone at work was so impressed, and they think I'm a data analyst. Oh, God. Usagi-senpai, this is the mixed bag of being good at Excel or any data tool, is all of a sudden everybody thinks you're a data analyst. And you got to be careful, because before you know it, everyone's asking you for reports and insights and all this stuff all the time, and it becomes a full-time job on top of your full-time job. So I wish you well, and I hope that doesn't happen to you. But hey, maybe you're a data analyst now. I don't know. I don't think there's any rules for who gets to say they're a data analyst necessarily. If you know what you're doing in Excel and you're getting useful insights, I think that's being a data analyst. Oh, man. All right. Okay, keeping an eye out for any other questions. Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting streaming here on YouTube. I get a lot less viewers here, I think because I have a much smaller audience here. I have like 100 times more followers on like TikTok and other platforms. But I just like the way streaming works here on YouTube more. I just don't really know how to get the stream out into the world where people can see it, So if anybody has ideas about that, if you all watch streams a lot, you know what? Let me know what you think or suggestions and stuff too, because I'm like totally new to this world of streaming here. And I any tips are helpful. All right. Okay, what do we have here? Andrea Lachelle says, if you love it, lean into it. Exactly, 100%. Okay, and I see the rest of Alex's question. So, but since my data is transactional level, specific day of transaction, I have to pivot table to summarize to monthly for use in chart. Not sure how to make the jump to pivot chart. Basically, base data is fine. Targets, daily target. Yeah, so it sounds like you're doing it already, Alex. I think if your targets are daily, it's a little tricky, like how you convert that into a month. You could average them, I guess. Maybe that's kind of the closest thing you're going to get to what you want there. But if you're summing your actual, whatever your core metric is, you kind of need to sum your targets too. This is just a kind of inherent problem when you have data with targets. But just to be clear, just to make sure you're already doing this, when you drop data into a pivot table like this, if it's not already by month and you click into it and go to pivot table analyze field settings, hold on. I just said the wrong thing. We want to go to, you click into your pivot table and go to group selection. You can put it into months or whatever granularity you want using this window. I think you already know that, but just in case. All right, what else do we have here? Some people stream on YouTube and TikTok simultaneously. Don't know how they do it though. Oh, interesting. I should look into that. I think that'd be fun, and maybe get a little crossover between the audiences, because like I said, we usually have maybe 10, 20 times more people when I'm streaming these on TikTok, so it might be fun to do both at the same time and then kind of see if we can get some cross-pollination between the two of them. Alex says targets are monthly. Okay, So if they're monthly and there's a value in each cell, sometimes you can just do like a little trick, like just choosing the max value. And if you choose the max value and there's only one value, at least that's going to give you what the highest value is. But if it's also the targets being monthly, you could just average them for each day, and they're all the same number anyway, so you're just going to get the same number that way. But yeah, Alex, I think I understand the kind of challenge you're running into there with aggregation, and I think this is one that a lot of people run into, is that kind of, hey, my target's in one date granularity, but my other one isn't. Oh, I got it, Alex. Thank you for clarifying. So Alex is just saying that he's got this data, and the data has all these transactions, like daily transactions, and he turns them into monthly values. But the targets that he's having to hit in that data, they're not even included in the base data he's getting. So he's having to like copy paste the monthly summary and then manually adding it and stuff, which is can be a huge pain. And Alex, there's no real way to fix that other than trying to see if there's a way to get that target included in your source data or your base data if you can, or maybe coming up with a little trick for copy pasting it in a little more easily each month. But I know that can be frustrating. I totally get what you're talking about. And again, anybody new who's just popped in, if you have questions, let me know. Just chime in the chat. Happy to answer questions about Excel, about careers with Excel or data analysis or information design, or even product management and product design, which is what my background is. Also happy to just chat about kind of the wild world of reporting and BI and that kind of stuff. So whatever y'all got, I'm happy to answer as best I can. Let's see. In the meantime here, let's, what can we show you? Let's go to that now. I'll open something else. We'll do this. Okay. This is just something fun everybody likes. Give me a second. I've got like 15 different large Excel dashboards open, so everything's running a little slow on my system. I often find on streams when I put these pretty little neon card designs in the background that way more people join the stream. And that seems to have just happened as I look at the stream count, which cracks me up. Okay, so I think there's a few things here. The first one is understanding the mechanics of how we build this kind of stuff in Excel, which is, it's not as complex as you might think. You don't need to be an Excel expert. You don't need to be able to write tons of super complex formulas. That's not what all this is. There's no custom coding or anything like that. What we're doing is we're using just our basic data, and we are using like a data table, right? A nice clean table, one header, each column represents one type of data, right? Consistently formatted, etc. And then we're using that to build pivot tables. If you don't know how to use pivot tables, go watch one of the 10 gajillion different pivot table tutorials there are on YouTube for free. But you probably know how to use these already. Most people have. And then the pivot tables then have pivot charts. That's just an option under the Insert tab to drop in a pivot chart. That's just a chart powered by a pivot table. And when we do that, we can do these kind of more complex things like this. And that's not to say that it does the design for us, but it gives us charts that can be filtered and kind of be updated dynamically. It gives us lots of flexibility in our metrics. Our metrics can be filtered. It's a very powerful tool. The visual design stuff is all a lot like PowerPoint. And if you've used PowerPoint, the interface in Excel is exactly the same. You can drop in shapes, images, text, stack stuff together, right? That's the building blocks of this stuff. Alex just said, maybe just add fake transactions that are actually my target classified as target, so the pivot table will pick them up when I aggregate the rest. You absolutely can do that. You could just add a fake transaction or add an extra column to your existing transactions. No, it's great, Alex, and don't worry about keeping responding. That's what I'm here for. And when there's not a lot of people in the stream, you know what? Like I'm gonna chat with and answer whoever's here. So no big deal. All right. I think there's maybe like a 20-second delay between what I'm saying and what the stream is showing, because I'm kind of watching myself delayed over here. Usagi Senpai says, that's a more interesting way to present a top 10 call inquiries than a bar chart. Yeah, good question, Usagi Senpai. So, okay, obviously you're right. Bar charts are great. You could also, of course, do the good old-fashioned horizontal bar chart, right? That's just mixes things up sometimes because people get tired of vertical bar charts. You could do a donut chart. There's reasons people don't do donut charts, so I don't want to be like a donut chart proponent necessarily, but I like donut charts and I think they work for a lot of things. Let's see, what else could you do? You could do just a single stacked bar. So if you imagine this bar broken into 10 segments, that's also an interesting one that could work for it. So it just depends. And it also depends on if you're... So, okay, sorry, for context, everyone. Usagi Senpai's got data showing call inquiries, like a support calls. Like, hey, I need help figuring something out, maybe. Let's say it's that. Some kind of inquiry. How do we show the top 10 of them in a way that's interesting, right? And show the proportionality between them and all of that. And so we're thinking about what are the visualizations for that. And I think a bar chart is a really good option. Anytime you're showing top 10 of something, a bar chart's going to work pretty well. There's other ways of doing it, of course. It just depends on your design and where you want to fit it. But I was also going to say, if you have rankings and those change over time, that can also be an interesting use of a line chart or a slope chart. So in this case, we've got 2 time periods, and the slope chart is really good at showing which one's increasing most quickly and showing when the rankings change, right? So it's very easy here to spot that the rankings have changed between 2 of these because they cross each other. So that's just another creative way if you have data going over time. Usagi Senpai. All right, and I don't see any other questions, but if anybody who has just jumped into the stream has questions, feel free to ask. I'll be here answering questions for a little bit longer. So, I think, I didn't do the thing that I always like to start these streams with, which is kind of explaining the basics of what we're doing and how we do all of this. So, my name's Josh. I do videos about Excel. I emphasize the kind of visual design features and the data visualization features that get overlooked in Excel. Teach people how to make things in Excel that don't really look like Excel. And this is all possible for many, many reasons. And one of them is that Excel, just like PowerPoint, has layers, meaning everything's stacked one on top of another. Our furthest layer back is our cell grids, like our actual A1, B1 cells. On top of that, we can stack shapes. On top of that, we can stack text, charts, images, etc. And we can create really complex designs that way. The interface for all of this works just like PowerPoint, very similar. And if you just get a little creative with these, you can make very beautiful designs in Excel, which is something that people often just don't realize is possible. It doesn't get taught to a lot of people. So that's the premise for what we're doing here, if anybody's just joined and curious what we're talking about. Oh, yeah. And again, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask them. Right. Or if you just have anything you want me to cover, topics you want me to cover, etc., feel free to ask those. Okay. I don't see any other questions coming in. I am probably going to end the stream here in a second, a little early, just because I'm tired. I've had a long day, and we've only got a few folks in the stream right now anyway, so I don't want to push it too late. I mean, it's Friday night. You know how it goes. I'm just here at the house, so I figured why not talk about Excel a little bit. If you all have any last-minute questions and you want to ask them, now's the opportunity to toss them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer. And if not, no big deal. It was awesome streaming to everybody. I'm really enjoying the streaming thing. It's a cool way to connect with people. So Alex asks, how do you toggle between layers like that? And now this is a weird feature that is actually only available in the Mac version of Excel for some reason. All versions of Excel have layers that you can adjust, but for some reason this animation that you see here, this animation only shows up in the Mac version. But in all versions of Excel, you can bring things forward or backward, right click, send to back, bring to front, right? These options. Those are available in PC and everywhere else. And then if you select a shape, you'll also see them under the Shape Format tab. Faraz asks, I am wondering how possible to have similar dashboards in Google Sheets. Yeah, Faraz, I have a video, I think, on my account about Google Sheets. If not, on my TikTok, I have a whole thing about Google Sheets as well. I did a whole guest post in Ben Collins' blog about this, which I'll just post a link to. Hold on. That explains the whole process in Google Sheets so that folks can do the same stuff in Google Sheets. There you go. If you want that link, I just posted it in the chat. And yeah, if anybody else has any other questions, this is the last chance before I hop off. Feel free to ask them. If not, again, no big deal. Always lovely chatting with you all and hopping on the stream. So I'll just give it a few minutes here. And I'll show pretty things in the background while we wait. You know, change some chart selections. You know, I don't know. Show some cool dashboards. Show people all the pretty things you can do in Excel. All right, cool. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Alex says, damn, I like that visualization. Oh, that's cool. I don't know which one it was, though, but hopefully one of these cool ones here. All right, everybody. Well, I think I'm going to tune off. Alex, thanks so much for the kind words and tuning in and the good questions. I really appreciate it. Always love it when people are like active in the chat. I really appreciate that. And everybody else who tuned in, Usagi Senpai, thank you for tuning in. Faraz, thanks for being here. Who else did we have? I know we had a few others. Oh, Andrea, thank you for your great questions as well, if you're still here. Everybody have a good one. I will be back soon with more. Bye for now. See ya.